Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paris Art and Movie Awards 2021 11th edition. And we are talking now documentaries. Documentaries is one of the biggest category of the Paris Art and Movie Awards.
And I have made a film about Max Steiner, who was one of the first composers to really create a language for film scoring. And he worked in Hollywood in the late 20s. He arrived and started creating film scores in the early 30s.
When I started watching the documentary, I was expecting to learn about the music of Max Steiner, but the documentary actually is much more than that. It's about him. He's making music all the time, working with Warner Brothers and everybody, and his life also, and his different wives, and how he treated people, all the friends he had. So, did you have things in that documentary that you left out, or did you put every piece of information you had into the documentary, Diana?
No, of course, one cannot put every piece of information in, but one tried to cover the basics of his contribution, his life, his ups, his downs, his personality, what other people had to say. I had actually started this documentary, believe it or not, 46 years ago, when I was a student at USC in Los Angeles, and wanted to make a film about his life, a short documentary for school, for a project. And they, at the last moment, turned it down. And finally, about 3 years ago, somebody said, "Why don't you do the film again?" And I said, "Well, everybody's dead. Who am I going to make a film about?" Anyway, a long story short, I finally found all the people who currently were involved in studying Max Steiner's music. And everybody was amazing and helped tremendously to help me put it all together. And it was a very low budget film with no money. And I basically had to do a one-man show putting it all together.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't tell watching the documentary. You had no budget to do it, but that's
I had no budget.
Debate.
Nothing. I had
Claire.
A couple of contributions and everything. Nobody was paid. I mean, I paid basic crew, but myself and everybody else just did everything free and
independent documentary filmmaking. Claire, back to you. Same. Your documentary has been years in the making. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. For me, it was a kind of journey, kind of wonderful journey, amazing journey. But not only for me, but for I know Manu. Manu was my family member, so I know him since I'm a little child. But for the film crew, it was they were surprised by the simplicity of Manu. And when we start working, we were not supposed to spend 5 years together. And it become, comment on dit, évident, obvious.
Obvious.
Yes, to stay and to follow him everywhere he go. He travel, and we discover every day. It was a discovery of a new part of Manu. Yes, and so
what he wanted to do.
Yeah, we shared a very emotional moment with him, and we have more than maybe 200 of hours of film, and it was difficult for the team to have only I think 1 hour and 10, at the end. So there are two. I think that we show only a quarter of
what you had in terms of images. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you started the documentary, you didn't know you were the team and the production team and everybody was going to spend years with him, and that became. It's a legacy documentary. About Manu Dibango. It's kind of the ultimate piece of documentary you want to watch. Now he's passed away.
Yes, and what is very good in this documentary that there are lots of music in this documentary, and a lot of live music. And Manu is comment dire, C'est un sage à la fin. Donc he's
In
comment
the
dire?
end,
Gentleman.
in the end, he's
What?
wise.
Yes, and we see that in this film. That's why the film is very powerful
It's
and
true
also
that
emotional. Yeah.
from the beginning to the end, I mean, Manu Dibango has always been very humble and very approachable with everybody. But at the end of the documentary, you can see he's kind of opening himself to distributing his vision of life to
Yes.
everybody who wants to take it in. And we see on screen one of the many live performances that the documentary shows. If you don't know that artist, Manu Dibango is an African musician player, and he's had a tremendous influence on music over the world. And we're going to get back to that in a few moments. Steve,
Yes.
kind of the same for you, my man. Years in the making, and
Well,
I know.
I would say really, I mean, I shot it in 4 days. So it's basically, but it's been sitting on the shelf for 20 years. So, the cool thing about that was it was a documentary I shot 20 years ago, and it's been sitting there waiting for me to edit it. And when COVID hit, us as filmmakers, without being able to go out and actually produce stuff, shoot stuff, and make stuff, we looked at our hard drives, we looked on our shelves, and we tried to discover, old projects that we had sitting around that we wanted to finish. And this has been in the making for 20 years. So I talked to my editor, I talked to my producing company, my brother, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. And we jumped in an editing bay. We had 17 hours of footage that I shot over 4 days. And we just jumped in and started cutting it, and ended up with a 94-minute documentary.
How did you make the choice? Because I know you have hours and hours. I don't remember the number you told me before.
Well, yeah,
how did you choose? How did you choose from the massive amount of footage?
Well, it comes down to, as a filmmaker, I'm making it for an audience. So my first question is, what is the audience going to want to see? So we kind of wanted to put everything we had with celebrities. So every movie star, from Clint Eastwood to Brad Pitt to, Penelope Cruz, Roberto Benigni, every star that we had in there, we wanted to put in there. And then my vision was, seen through the eyes of the director, and that's basically who I had the access, who gave me the permission to. It was Louis J. Horvitz.
He's one of the on screen, Louis J. Horvitz, who is one of the biggest live TV director.
Yeah, he's one of the most prolific live TV directors. He directs the Emmys, the People's Choice, the Grammys, the Oscars. He directs all the big shows. He's won countless Emmys for directing. And how I came about it was on the 99 Oscars, I got hired as a production assistant. And within 2 weeks of working on the 99 Oscars, his assistant ended up leaving his post. And Louis basically just told me, you're my new director's assistant. So I ended up spending a full year with him as his assistant, and just being around the Oscars, being backstage, being, in the whole rehearsals. I always said that this is something people want to see. People want to see the Oscars, but they've never seen the behind the scenes, the making of. This is almost more interesting than the show itself. So I pitched the idea to him, and he said, I love it. Let's do it. So over 4 days of the rehearsals of the 2000 Oscars, I shot everything I could get my hands on, all the rehearsals, all the performances on stage. And, at the end of the day, we ended up leaving with 17 hours of footage. And it's just, it was a fun job. But, I loved being there, working on the Academy Awards, because, I've seen it my whole life.
It's unique. It's a one-in-a-lifetime chance to be there.
And then, so when I was cutting it, I wanted to show celebrity. I wanted to show the scene through the director's eyes, but I also wanted to give the viewer the same sort of access that I had. Basically, all access, behind the scenes, going into every nook and cranny that I was able to get into. I wanted to bring the viewer into that and make them feel as though they're a part of the actual production staff. And, people who have seen the documentary tell me by the end, they feel like, they worked on the show. It's like exhausting, where everybody is so exhausted by the time you get to the end of the show, because it's a 4-day marathon of like 15-hour days. And then when the show ends, that's it. It's over. We did it. And so
it's a piece of history. It's funny how this year the documentaries we have, even here in this panel, you all have a topic that's linked to history, that's linked to the way our society changed, the way we use things, the influences we receive from the place we live in. Blaise,
Yes.
what about the one thing I want to say is when you finish watching your documentary, you just wanna go to Guadeloupe and drink some rum.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome in Guadeloupe. Welcome in Guadeloupe. We have a beautiful island. We have beautiful gastronomy. We have the best rum in the world is produced in Guadeloupe. So, my friend, if you want to come to spend some vacation in Guadeloupe, you are welcome.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
I think I'll join you. Sounds like fun.
Everybody's gonna come to visit you.
Okay.
There's also a true sense of pride. You feel through the documentary that the people in Guadeloupe want people to discover their rum, and they want people to like it, and they want people to know the skills they have. So that sense of pride is very much in front of the documentary in a soft way, but you just want to be with these people. So how did you find all that friend of yours? How did you find all these amazing characters?
First of all, my dear Matt, and you all, my friends, Guadeloupe is my country. Guadeloupe is a part of me. You know, my children were born there. Though those people that you see in my documentary, some of them are friends, of course. But what I wanted to do in this film is to show when we talk about rum, there are men and women behind the story of rum. You never see those people. You just drink the rum.
Just drink the rum.
Yeah, but I wanted to share with the world the story which is behind this rum, because it's a story of men and women.
And you know what? This is exactly what we do at the Paris Art and Movie Awards. We love the movies, but we are interested in the people.